Hello everybody, it's Sean here again, and I'm just here to talk about a subject, our planet Earth. It's quite a marvelous place, isn't it? Of course, minus all the baloney that's going on in the world. We live on a remarkable planet, oceans and land and jungles and subarctic rainforests and the forests of the southern United States or in Europe. I mean, it's just beautiful. Africa, the Amazon, or the barren deserts, or Antarctica, as you hear some earth sounds in the background here. But just sort of directed at a lot of people who claim to be Christians and this and that, and always are pushing this, that the earth is going to be destroyed. And is that really the case? I mean, I know there's some things going wrong here, but, you know, they all say that our creator, Elohim, his name is Yahuwah, will, or as they call it, God, Jesus and Jehovah, whatever, but in the Muslims they call him Allah. But, this whole thing about the earth being destroyed and, you know, and Armageddon being the end of the world, as in end of everything, end of humanity, end of all the animals, and I don't know, it's kind of a very magnificent place, I think, for it to just perish at the hands of mistakes of people. Now, to atheists and all that, you know, whatever, it's not really applied to you, but I think you'll agree that if, you know, things don't change, we could destroy the planet ourselves. People. Us. We're the biggest threat. Armageddon is really an intervention, but we all heard about the flood and all that. I know many people don't believe it. Many people do. There may be... It's a lot of the times the way the story is presented that makes it unbelievable. But we're not going to go into that subject. But he destroyed a wicked civilization in the past. But the planet's still here, right? It changed. The climate changed. Everything happened. But when that happened, and the reason he did that, he did say that all the thoughts of all the people were only bad all the time. So there was violence, a lot of war. In fact, a lot of people that have nothing to do with biblical things or whatever, they even claim there's been ancient nuclear weapons used over in India, in the Middle East, wherever, that it's happened in the past. But something happened. He did that. But when that happened, I'm going to read something in the scriptures that makes it very strong that the earth will continue and it's not going to perish. There's a whole list of scriptures I've got here. Genesis 8, 21 and 22, Psalms 37, 29, and also chapters 104 and 5. You got Proverbs 2, verses 20 through 22, Ecclesiastes 1, 4, Isaiah 45, 18. In fact, actually in Isaiah, chapters 25 through 65 all describe what the new earth will be like. Matthew 5:5, that actually says the meek shall inherit the earth. Hebrews talks about the new earth that is to come. And Revelation talks about making all things new. Look, I am making all things new. But I'm going to read Genesis 8, 21 and 22. I'm going to put on these glasses because I didn't think this day would come, but I was warned that after 40 I would need glasses. Anyway, this is after the flood. Noah leaves the ark. And starting in verse 21, it says, And Yahuwah began to smell the restful odor. And so Yahuwah said in his heart, Never again shall I call down evil upon the ground on man's account, because the inclination of the heart of man is bad from his youth up. And never again shall I deal every living thing a blow as I have done. For all the days of the earth continues, seed sowing and harvest, and cold, and heat, and summer, and winter, and day and night shall never cease. It's a pretty powerful promise. Some people just say, oh, it wouldn't be from just the water. It mentions that later on. That's why he gave the rainbow, that he wouldn't flood the earth like that. But the promise is there. So if he were to just destroy the planet, I think he'd be going back on his promise. That would be a contradiction. And it's I know that the Earth has come into a sad state of affairs. I think all atheists, again, and people who are religious, whatever, agree that things are not right. They have to change. If things don't change, we're in trouble. So the scriptures do promise a divine intervention, which is really the prevention of our extinction, really not the destruction of all mankind, and everybody just goes off to heaven. You can get into the heaven subject. Yes, there are people called, but that's for a reason. It's to fix the mess down here. But the resurrection promise for most people is here on this earth. Whether you believe that or not, to all you people who don't believe it, it doesn't apply to you. I'm speaking to general Christians and people out there, who do have a little bit of a faith in this. I know the Bible's been a little corrupted here and there. But the main thing is in there, the main message of hope is there. It's mainly translation. You listen to all these balloons over here, and the lion roaring. I got Africa and North America kind of mixed here in the back. Why should that end? All because we're the fools, which we are ending it ourselves already. So I'm going to bring it to another scripture about the earth. It's in Psalms 37, verse 29. And it reads, "The righteous themselves will possess the earth, or inherit the land," as some Bible scriptures translations say, "and they will reside forever upon it." So righteous people will reside on earth forever. And one thing, too, is also Proverbs. Well, actually, let me go to Ecclesiastes. I'm going to go in a row, in order. Although, actually, Ecclesiastes is after Proverbs. My bad. But verse 4 reads, "A generation is going, and a generation is coming, but the earth is standing even to time indefinite. And the sun..." Excuse me, I started to read too far. But anyway, there's also here in Proverbs chapter 2, verses 21 and 22. "For the upright are the ones that will reside in the earth, and the blameless are the ones that will be left over in it." Survivors of Armageddon. Also, the entire account of Ezekiel 38 describes that too. But let me finish that. It says, "As regards the wicked," we're talking about truly wicked people who are trying to hurt people. And I think we all agree there are a lot of bad people out there. "As regards the wicked, they will be cut off from the very earth. As for the treacherous," I think we all know they have an idea of some of these treacherous. "As for the treacherous, they will be torn away from it." So, when you see that they'll be left over in it, you see that, the earth isn't going to be destroyed. You got to think about when he gave mankind his first start, perfect start. Again, you atheists, I know you don't believe all this, but it was their choice. He gave them a choice. You can eat of all the fruit except for this. Don't eat of that because, it was a test of obedience. Will you follow the Creator's lead or will you take your own? They chose to go on their own, and they had a little help from a higher dimensional realm, as known as Satan, or Hashatan, as it is in Hebrew. And he's just is a rebel, basically. Shatan means resistor, devil means slanderer. He is a being of a higher level, an angel, a cherub. But he's the one that challenged and he tricked mankind into accepting this. So therefore, we were allowed to take our own course for a little while and see how it turned out. Well, as we know that early in our history, very advanced civilization, the structures are all left behind. A lot of things left over, but it didn't turn out too well for them. They had lost their way. All the things came to ruin, and now we have another shot at it, and the same thing is happening again. especially now in this time. Things are accelerating. Tyranny is cracking down. Pollution is unreal. Oil spills like you wouldn't believe. Nuclear accidents. All the debris still left over from those nuclear tests they've done. The chemicals in the food. The bees are dying off. The oceans are dying. Or being poisoned. The oil spill in the Gulf that went on and on and on and on. It seems like something's got to happen. Some kind of a divine intervention. I'd like to have somebody enlighten me as to who's going to stop these people from doing this. A whole other subject I can get into in another video, but I believe we've crossed a threshold that we've allowed this elite to control the world, the bankers, the corporations, who are admittedly Satanists, a lot of them. I'm not saying everybody that works in a corporation, but your top honchos, your very, very small group of people compared to the population, they're Satanists. Whether you believe in Satan or not is irrelevant. They do, and they guide their policies and agendas by it, therefore virtually making it real, even if he didn't exist. We could make it exist, or we could, let's say even there is no creator, but if we believed it and went on the basic love principles, we could virtually make it real either way. It's real or not, whatever. I mean, it's real either way, I believe. So, I don't know. Things have to, you know, something comes from something. I don't know. Well, I won't get into that, but it's mainly that will the earth be destroyed, you know. Matthew 5:5 says, "Happy are the meek, since they shall inherit the earth." You know, and it does say a couple scriptures before, maybe it's verse 1. Happy are the pure at heart, since they will see Elohim, or God. Because there is a group called the heaven. They will help in the uplift and repair of the earth to bring it back to God's original purpose. Elohim's original purpose in the garden was that we would spread out, fill the earth, become many, have in subjection the animals. That's the fish, the flying creatures, the beasts. There was dinosaurs at one time. There was all kinds of things on this planet that have disappeared. And this kingdom is actually a restoration of, in a sense, a Jurassic Park. With us being able to find out all there is to know on this planet. And I believe, of course, that we're not the only planet with life. And I'm not a young earther. I believe the earth is ancient. Maybe life on earth isn't as ancient as they say. I don't know how ancient it is. But the earth itself is very ancient, and I believe the universe is very ancient. As you all know, I get into the Mars anomalies. I'm not going to get into that, but I believe there's more life out there than just here. But for the earth, listen to the loons. Who would want that to perish? For those in Africa too. The sounds. That's the two videos I got going at once. The potential we have here on Earth is just amazing. We have so many solutions to our problems, and our energy problems, and the Earth isn't really overpopulated. It's only overpopulated in the way we're operating. Most of the Earth isn't even inhabited. 70% is water. A third of the land is desert. Very few people live in the deserts. We're all concentrated in cities. And it's this junk technology that these people that make money off this and they can control us is the problem. We have a beast on our back. The earth, it was made just right for us. As long as we cooperate with it, observe it, cooperate with it, making common cause for the existence. And believe me, we've all seen the interactions with animals and people and make us cry, you know, on Facebook. When the lion and its owner see each other for the first time in a year and they're hugging each other. I mean, that's what's promised. So I don't want to make this video too long, but maybe I'll read one more scripture here. What didn't I read? I'm going to read Revelation 21, because it's just the finale, really. It's the end of the world. The end of Armageddon is the end of a wicked way of doing things, and all people who just don't want to change their course, that want to go against the Creator's laws. It's like, all right, natural law is unforgiving, as even the Native Americans say. If you jump off a cliff, you're going to go splat. You have the choice not to jump off the cliff, but the natural law of gravity is going to go take you down and you're going to go flat. If you poison the world, you're going to get sick. If you mess with the climate, there's going to be disaster. It's just the way it is. It's very unforgiving. So the laws of Yahuwah, of his moral law, well, in a lot of ways it can be unforgiving if we violate that. Actually, it is very unforgiving. But he forgives and he pardons error. As long as you want to, it's called repentance, which means turning the courts around, not going, wah, and crying your eyes out and saying you're sorry and then doing whatever you want. Being a hypocrite. It really is meaning living a life and loving your fellow man. But I'm going to read Revelation 21 as the finale here, for the most part, as to beautiful hope. It says in here, "And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the former heaven and the former earth had passed away." And that's not the literal. This means rulership in the actual society of people. Heavens can be rulership, it can be the sky, it can be outer space, it can be where the spirits live. But anyway, you got to remember, the biblical Bible is written to people on earth. So anyway, I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the former heaven and the former earth had passed away. And the sea is no more. And usually in the scriptures, the sea is referred to as the sea of humanity, not the oceans. The oceans aren't going anywhere. I also saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven, from God, from Elohim, and prepared as a bride adorned with her husband. With that I heard a loud voice from the throne say, "Look, the tent of Elohim is with mankind, and he will reside with them, and they will be his peoples. And Elohim himself will be with them, and he will wipe out every tear from their eyes, and death will be no more, neither will mourning, nor outcry, nor pain be any more. The former things have passed away." So, that's the end promise. And I know there's a lot of details. I don't want to make this video so long, but for those who say, "Oh, death will be no more and we'll overpopulate the world," well, there's a very big universe out there. Like I said, I don't think we're the only planet with life on it. So, anyway, to all you people who are preaching that the end of the Armageddon and the end of the world is actually the destruction of the planet and kaboom, please stop it. That's not true. You're making things look bad. You're making the real message look bad here. It's a restoration, a restoring of what the original purpose. We've been allowed an alternate reality of our own making. It's been a disaster. I think everybody will agree it's a disaster, whether you believe in Elohim, God, or not. And again, I'm not shoving this down your throat. Everybody has their choice to believe what they're going to believe. But the end of the earth is going to be around for quite a long time, so that's a promise. One of the scriptures, I believe it's somewhere, Hebrews, or no. Well, he didn't make the earth, it will not be made to totter. And he also said he didn't simply create the earth for nothing, but he made it to be inhabited. And we have a whole animal kingdom we're going to be friends with, and things are going to be different. And people are already doing it and showing examples of that now in this time. It can be done. So have hope. May the spirit of Yahuwah be with you. Shalom, everybody.